Yep. Oh, ding, let's go. I'm going to try and succeed in fitting a bunch of good stuff into this video. This concept of the Christ is within. And we are doing our due diligence in letting life crucify us. Crucifixion on a daily basis. Chipping away at our hardness, our BS. Chipping away at it so that we become more alive, more human, more aligned with our heart and soul. So I sent someone an email this morning talking about my job, where I'm just telling them straight up, if they're considering working in this field, working with children, I'm going to tell you straight up what to expect, the deeper stuff. Right off the bat, I told them, hey, there are gaps in our upbringing that were just inevitable. Our parents did our best, but there were gaps. There were things that we didn't learn. There were things that we didn't integrate in order for us to be a solid, balanced, sturdy adult. So there's maturity involved in sticking with something, even when it's hard. There's maturity involved in seeing that life is not easy, but that's okay. In fact, it's necessary for us to grow into sturdy, balanced, entire maturity and adulthood. And in this job, in many jobs, you will be tested, but that's necessary. We need to be tested so that we become stronger and stronger, more resolve, more resilience, better able to handle inevitable challenges. What else did I talk about? Just the fact that it's necessary. It is necessary. We need to be crucified. We need to be Christified. We need these types of things. We need to be mentally, emotionally jabbed at. Like in any sport, but especially something like, sword fighting, fencing, etc. We're being attacked. That's part of the game. We need to know where the quote-unquote hellish and demonic is. We need to see it, identify it, and see the hellscape for what it is, and deal out more heaven than is present in the current situation. We need that. We need to do that. We need to bring more heaven into a world where there is hellish, demonic BS. It doesn't matter whether or not you're religious or whether or not you believe that the demonic exists. You can call it whatever you want. In terms of approaching it in a more human, psychological way, there is malice. And sometimes it's not intentional. Sometimes it's just people acting as a result of being unregulated and not knowing that there are other options, that there are better options. And this is very true working with children, but working with anyone, working with adults, working with people with high degrees, master's degree, doctorate degree, it doesn't matter. What matters is being regulated on a mental, emotional, physical, dare I say, spiritual level. And there are levels to this where I have found even myself, it's like the phrase, the road to hell is paved with good intentions. You can be swayed, you can be co-opted, bamboozled, you can be guided in a certain way that you think, I'm just doing my thing, this is good intentions. But in reality, in retrospect, if you keep clarifying and expanding your heart and soul, you will come to realize that there were certain ways of thinking, certain ways of doing that were genuinely, authentically, actually coated, sprinkled with unregulated demonic BS, where I've found myself in situations where I'm like, I can let this go, they'll figure it out later, I can just do this to a small extent and they'll figure it out. Where it's like, no, regardless of who they are, regardless of their age, regardless of their status, sometimes people need to know. Sometimes we as individuals need to know that we need to push a little more, a little harder, push in another direction that is more heavenly. So I've realized this in myself and others, where if we see malice, unregulated intent, we have to right that wrong. And it makes us better. It makes us stronger. We need to keep pushing. And then we keep pushing. We are now better, more expanded at the heart and soul level and beyond. Because we were ready and willing to face the challenge and then enact a Christness to replace, to transcend what was into a better what is. We're being crucified, we're being tested on a daily basis, and we would be more and more wise to see it, to face it, and enact and implement something that's better. It makes me think of the quote. I'm not much of a fan of Creed, but some of their lyrics, they've really hit, like the song With Arms Wide Open, where we're reflecting on life, we're just being, we're receptive to things that are better and more wholesome, more heavenly. And again, you don't have to be religious, but there is an inevitable spirituality to life. Get with it, right? But the lyrics, with arms wide open, under the sunlight, right? We're being open, we're being reverent, we're respecting life. Welcome to this place. I'll show you everything, right? It's like The heart, the soul, the intuition, the inner guidance, the connection to God, the connection to our higher self, speaking to us saying, welcome to this place. I'll show you everything. But you have to be receptive to it. You have to be receptive to this world, this life, this force, this energy that wants life to get better with you. You are living life and life is living you. This is a two-way street. This is a two-way call. Have the phone up to your ear. Listen. And then feel it out. And then do it out. Listen and act. Let me check my notebook. I wanted to bang out a bunch of cylinders here. So yeah, yesterday I talked about shrinking the BS in our perception, the demonic nonsense, the quote-unquote good intentions that are actually BS, because we're not actually as regulated as we need to be. But today, we're more in line with self-crucification, where we're open and ready to be crucified, and then life is like, awesome, let me show you more things. Let me help you by crucifying you some more. Everything is here to help us. The challenge is good. Let life whack us with its sword. Right? The Rumi quote, to be a sword soaked in dawn. To have the capacity, like the Jordan Peterson, say what you will about Jordan Peterson, but like Creed, he's got some good lyrics. He's got some good quotes. To be meek in the sense of to have a weapon in the sheath, have a capacity for danger, and use it only when necessary. Definitely true working with children and with adult children, where it's like, look, I'll shut you down. I will strike you down if necessary. I have the capacity for danger, for attack, for destruction. A sort of holy, divine, wholesome, heart and soul based destruction, if necessary. Right? To have that capacity, gotta do it. Let's see what else we got. Right? So, this intuition came up for me yesterday. Because, I was doing my thing up for the challenge, striking down the demonic BS nonsense. But I also found myself just like, with a little bit of grogginess, with a little bit of, I'll do this, and, maybe I'll let this other stuff slide. But then during my break, I'm like, no, I need to keep striking. I need to keep striking that balance. And then this intuition came up, saying to me, how here are you? How here am I? Right? How present and how enacting and exacting am I? It's necessary. It's important. Where it's like, oh, this is hard. Life is hard. These people are difficult. How here am I? How here are you? Feel into that. That's intense. That's real. That's right. This is going to be a very divine, thick video. So I want to throw all this stuff that's been popping up to me within the last 24 hours. So it's like, each one of these concepts can be meditated on, contemplated on, reflected upon. Just live your own life throughout the day and then having these more quiet moments. This is necessary. Okay, yeah. Sometimes you gotta beat the hell out of people and out of yourself, right? Where it's like, to really crush it. But I love this phrase where it's like, I gotta beat the hell out of this moment, right? I gotta beat the hell out of this person, symbolically, right? And then breaking it down in the wording, the linguistics, to beat the hell out. Get the hell out of here. The hell, the demonic, like the BS, the malice, the just nonsense, the senselessness that is not helping. You gotta beat it out of people, beat it out of yourself, beat it out of the moment, the situation at hand. You gotta tenderize the beef of life straight up. But it also goes in line with that concept of, if this situation feels full of this nonsense, you gotta beat it out to make space for the better, the heavenly, the crucification, the Christification. Christ is within. You gotta beat the hell out of your soul so that you can make space for God, for the godliness, for the divinity. You gotta beat the hell out of your soul so that you can make space for things, for energy, for the aspects of self that are better. And in a sense, they're already here. These energies, this higher, better self, is already here. You just gotta amplify it. You gotta give it a platform, right? Give it a platform. Let it say its piece. Let it envelop you. Let it heal you straight up. And then, like I was talking about in that video yesterday, where, it was nighttime, it was dark. It's like, you're going to be in uncharted territory. You're going to be charting the new territory, right? And it may be strange or confusing or just uncomfortable because it's unknown. But to chart new territory is an inevitable part of being. To become better and better and better. It's an inevitability of life to the extent that you allow it. Boom. So, a lot of good stuff in this video today. A lot to think about, feel about, and do about. As I like to do, end the video with respects. Much respect to you. Much respect to us and our willingness and ability to survive and get better, to chip away, to clarify and expand ourselves at the heart and soul level and beyond. The physical, the mental, emotional, the situational, the worldly, at every level, right? Much respect to our, our mechanisms, our sixth senses, our layers. Like, this is a gift. Much respect to the life-giving force, to God, to give us all of these faculties, all of these gifts to work through life with. Much respect to the sun, the moon, the earth, the cosmos, that is also living, breathing, and consistently transcending gifts that are giving to us. We give, life gives to us. The symbiosis, the mutuality, it's beautiful. Much respect to our willingness and ability to be crucified. Much respect to our willingness and ability to give a platform to the Christ within. Boom. Woo. All right, this is Mr. Mike. Catch you later.